more success in different metas. I do think that we've seen Ruben succeed with maybe a slightly more expensive decks, and also with the Royal Giant, with Mortar Bait, stuff like that. And I think that's maybe going to give him an edge here. Adriel, though, one of the greatest players in this match. He's been in the competitive scene for almost just as long as Ruben, maybe just not old enough to play in the earlier leagues.
Hey, yeah, maybe not the best way to go about it, but you know what? That experience has definitely paid off down the long run, and we're excited that Adriel is now competing the way that he is supposed to be. And I gotta say, we didn't mention it in the first set of the day, Juicy. A little surprised that we didn't see Boss Bandit.
Yeah, I agree. I honestly, when you were asking me what deck I thought Riley was going to play game 3, I was really expecting to see a Boss Bandit Miner Poison. I think that he's really good with that type of deck, similar to Mo even, just being able to really just lock down defense. And the Boss Bandit just does a great job of providing some DPS, but also that 3-card cycle like we're always talking about.
So looking like Skelly King Evo Witch plus RG here, maybe top of the screen. And then bottom of the screen, we've seen many versions of this deck. This is actually the version of the deck I think I was talking to you about in your chat the other day.
Right.
Instead of having the guards, it has the gang, should still have the spears and the lightning.
I see.
But it also could have arrows as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's interesting to see the Miner and Lightning Mortar decks. It's just going to provide so much pressure, but yeah, it seems like the defense might be a little bit too expensive here. That is one of the Boss Bandit, fatal flaws that you mentioned at the beginning of the cast. Is yes, it is very strong, but it's bouncing away because of how expensive it is. Ruben playing the Boss Bandit there on defense, but he has to wait a long time before playing those arrows, and that's a lot of damage.
Yeah, that is probably the great equalizer there with the Boss Bandit. Big shout out to Donald, who's been doing an incredible job. We were both lucky enough to meet him in Finland. Great guy, lot of experience, and I think a lot of success in balancing Clash Royale so far. This is a game that I would never want to have the task of balancing, and I think he's been doing a great job, especially with all the Evos, all the towers, all the champions. So big shout out to him.
I absolutely agree. Okay, wait. This is a very important moment. He's got the Evo Royal Giant countering the Evo Mortar. Ruben needs to now use this opportunity to take out this Mortar and then counter push with these units. He might be able to get some damage back. Here comes the Miner, but the pre-Fisherman going to snag the Miner immediately in the E-Spear for the bats. This defense, he made it look easy.
Yeah, and what's crazy is just because I'm so used to seeing this version of the Mortar deck with Cannoneer, I was thinking that Ruben was going to have to defend those skeletons, and I just realized it's Princess Tower instead.
Right.
So I don't know if that's going to end up... I mean, obviously in this matchup, I think it's going to be better in the sense of cleaning up all the Witch spam, the Skeleton King spam. Obviously less effective against the RG, but kind of pick your poison in this moment for Ruben, who is struggling to get on tower.
Yeah, he can't seem to get the Miner, the Mortar, or anything on tower, and Adriel kind of just getting a damage. Wait, I say that, but here's one, maybe two Mortar shots, but look at this defense.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be tough to make this happen.
But big push on that left-hand side. Mortar comes down last second by Ruben, doing a decent job defending. Boss Bandit on top of the RG and does clean it up. Second RG is going to be ready to go, but probably going to hold off for a second here. And yeah, Juicy, the version that I was thinking about doesn't have Miner, and it has Spear Goblins there instead.
I see.
And yeah, the whole Miner plus Lightning plus, because usually in this deck, I think one of the things that struggles is just getting damage on tower, right? Because you just have the Boss Bandit and the Mortar usually. Ruben trying to fix that with the Miner, but maybe losing some of the synergy.
Yeah, I agree. And here comes another Royal Giant push. Boss Bandit going to dash, but there's not enough for the Mortar. He goes for the ability. The ice is a slow, but it doesn't matter. This Royal Giant is locked and loaded. His Skelly King ability on the right-hand lane. There's just too much swarm for Ruben to deal with.
Real Hogs AQ with Earthquake, but even there you see, because of the Fish Boy, the Tombstone, the Skeleton King, the Log, probably be tough to match up against. Even the Wish has splash damage there. What are the best matchups out in the world right now for that RG deck?
The interesting thing is that Mortar is supposed to match up well versus it, but apparently not versus the Skeleton King and Tombstone variation. I don't know. I mean, I think that a good like minor poison or maybe a good like hog earthquake could get it done. I think that roll hogs are also very strong in the meta, very underrated. The roll delivery does a great job, and plus the cannon does a great job of dealing with the roll giant plus a witch or whatever other support unit they might have.
Yeah, I was thinking Evo Cannon plus delivery, plus if you need a log or an earthquake at the bridge could really stop that pile up. Obviously, the quick cycle there to get another cannon down for the second RG. But that's just us theorizing about a good matchup while we are in another game here. In game number 2, we got Hog EQ, top of your screen. A little bit of a funky version with guards and fire spirit. And there's the Evo Firecracker. Bottom of your screen, we're seeing Ruben run drill with Evo Cannon and Evo Snowball. No surprise there, but...
Interesting. So we see a little Prince for a 3-card cycle from Ruben, and then we do see the Boss Bandit Hog EQ variation from Adriel. Interesting. I'm thinking about who might have the matchup here. I want to say that Adriel does, just because Ruben isn't going to have a big spell, and that Earthquake's going to do a great job of cleaning through that cannon. And the Boss Bandit is going to provide decent value, although Ruben does have the Knight and Guards to help defend.
Yeah, nice work there with Ruben having to use the guards, the knight, and the ice spirit to cover that boss bandit. But if you think about it, with the use of the abilities, that actually ends up being, I think, a +1 trade because Ruben did use the ability twice. So it is interesting when you think about how many cards are spent. But when you look at the elixir value actually spent, not a bad trade. Just feels like you're having to spend a lot of attention on one card.
Yeah, that's a good call out. The other thing I want to call out is I forgot that Adriel actually used log in his first match, so he actually has a roll delivery here instead of log. That might give Ruben an opportunity to make something happen with the drill Evo Snowball combo. It does a great job of clearing out the supporting units or the defensive units from Adriel, and without the log, it might be able to allow those goblins to lock on tower.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point that you make. That's something that Adriel's going to have to keep track of, and then have to have that royal delivery kind of hovering, you know, for when that drill does come in. So here we go. Drill comes down. I think Evo Snowball's in cycle. There's the Evo Snowball, grabs the delivery. Maybe not the perfect order, but does do a decent amount of cleanup, although Ruben does take the lead here for the first time in this matchup.
Yeah, and the Evo Snowball does a great job. It also took out that fire spirit there, and that's the thing about the Evo Snowball. It just has such a wide radius, and it just really pulls in almost everything, allowing for nice connections there. Wait, Little Prince gets taken out. Pre-Earthquake for a cannon. He goes for the drill on defense because the drill has more HP. But now the Evo Firecrew's on cycle, and this boss band is a menace to deal with. He is defending well, but another Hogger to inbound. Cannon on defense. Wow. Ruben doing a pretty good job, but look at the Earthquake at the Firecracker chip damage that's coming through.
Yeah, and that all started from Ruben kind of trying to catch the Hog Rider coming out early. He dropped preemptive guards, and I wasn't sure if I had lost something. I was like, am I gone? But apparently we are losing a little bit of our gameplay. We're going to try to hop back in as soon as possible. Obviously, kind of talking, it did seem like Ruben was playing with a little bit of nerves, and here we go. It looks like we're going to be able to kind of catch back up. It looks like we missed Adriel's a little bit more damage from him, but as you can see, tower down to 800. Ruben getting some good damage in on that left-hand side. Tower down to 720. So Ruben is in the lead with 7 seconds remaining. A Hog Rider comes in, is caught. Snowball in with the Earthquake.
Wow.
520 to 640. And Ruben ends up winning game number 2 by 121 HP. So it may not be the prettiest way to watch it, but we were able to get it back there, Juice. Someone like Adriel going up against Ruben. So here we go.
This might be the replay from the last game to catch us up on what we missed.
Yes, thank you. So here we go, Juicy. Why don't you break this down?
Yeah, I mean, this cannon here at the last second, stopping this Hog Rider, allowed him to somehow stay in the game. He's still down 300 HP at this point, but the goblins are getting a couple hits through. Earthquake cycle from Adriel. Drill coming in, but he's defending pretty well. He's got the delivery. He's got the fire spirit.
Yeah.
And another hog. Okay, not enough elixir for the cannon. That might actually end up saving him because he waits until the last second to play it, preventing that hog hit. But the fire gets chipped. I can't believe that Adriel ends up winning this game with only Ruben ends up winning this game with only 20 seconds.
Wow, look at that value from the Evo cannon. Cleans up the units on the left-hand side, takes out the Evo firecracker, cleans up the units of the bridge on the right-hand side. I mean, pushes back the hog and puts damage on it. I mean, yeah, wow. Snowball comes in.
Oh my gosh. And then the last second goblin hit after predicting the fire spear with the snowball. I mean, that absolute cinema. Very impressed with his gameplay. Watching last few years, it seems like Ruben, I mean, he's definitely still got it as we've just seen, but it seems like I don't know, I see a little bit of less of Mode Light in Ruben. I see a little bit more of Mode Light in Adriel, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I feel like Adriel still has the hunger a little bit more, and it makes sense, again, when you talk about already being a world champion. And, of course, back in 2023, they both ended up in that 5th, 6th, $50,000 spot, so it makes sense why it's very, very tough to pick maybe who the underdog and who the favored player is. I think I'm going to have to agree with you, but you know what? Just to play devil's advocate, I'll say Ruben because he's a former world champion. Here we go. Piggy's out in game number 3 for Ruben. Top of your screen, looks like an interesting version of bait. Golden Knight, Dark Gob, Inferno Tower.
Yeah, this is gonna be a fascinating matchup. Adriel really gonna struggle versus the Royal Hogs. He's actually already struggling versus the Royal Hogs because that Inferno Tower just isn't what you really want. A nice Goblin gang in the middle, though, gonna help counter both the Valkyrie and the Royal Hogs, and that's the most emotion we'll see from Adriel all day today with a little eyebrow raise after that defense.
Yeah, I bet he was like, okay, all right, that Goblin Gang was perfect, and that was a little stressful, so here we go.
I forgot to mention about the new meta, but we almost have a new card here in the Goblin Hut. A complete rework, making it actually one of the best buildings in the game at the moment. But that's another reason why Royal Giant's so dominant. If Goblin Hut is being used as one of the main buildings, I mean, it doesn't have that utility to actually get damage, the amount of damage you need versus the RGs.
Yeah, what a crazy, out of nowhere rework for a card that has been so dead for so long. Again, shout out to Donald because I do think it is a really interesting change. It's also really interesting to see how it's changed the way people play the card. You'll see people play it almost not aggressively, but like a little higher on the board, so it triggers those goblins to come out in stressful situations. It's not always advised, but it is just a really interesting rework of the card. Yeah, absolutely crazy there.
Okay, here comes another snowball onto the Goblins. Barbarian Barrel trying to clean up, but another Goblin spawns in. That's another reason why Snowball synergizes so well with the drill. If you're able to get the Snowball down, a lot of the time it slows down the tower enough to allow for one extra Goblin spawn on that Gob drill.
25-16, 21-37. Adriel making the Inferno Tower work, but obviously having to spend an arm and a leg every single time to avoid any damage. Still gets a little piggy nuzzle there on the tower. 1904 to 2466, excuse me, is the lower tower on Ruben's side.
Snowball once again coming through, but the Goblins, wait, well, look at this Gold Knight. This Gold Knight hits everything. Wait.
Wow. Did it not hit the tower?
I don't know if it did.
Run out?
I think there's enough. I think it hit enough targets where it actually did not hit tower. Ruben playing the Goblins last second there to soak everything up. But that Fire Spirit taking out the entire Gob gang. There's so much happening right now, but Ruben's up a solid 600 HP.
Yeah, what a wild interaction of like 20 seconds that was. Adriel trying to play defense with the Dark Gob on the right-hand side. The Golden Knights dashing right. There's another bit of emotion there as Adriel raises his eyebrows again after the huge Golden Knight connection. I mean, that's the biggest play that's happened so far in the game for him, and that's all we get out of him. 13-16, 14-73, 1 minute remaining in play. Royal Hogs cycled in the back for Ruben.
Evo Valk on defense, and I really like this play from Adriel. He knows that he's trying to outside the Inferno Tower, so he decides to defend without the Inferno, and it's very close. Another Royal Hogs in the back, another drill, pre-snowball. Fire Spirit does jump, though, Evo Snowball's going to be in cycle. That might be the difference maker in these last 30 seconds.
A lot of good damage on the left-hand side. Adriel actually didn't get as much out of that Golden Knight dash as he could have. I think he wasn't expecting it to do as much damage as it did. Doesn't pull the dash in time. Now we see Ruben switching lanes to the right-hand side after this big pile-up. 11:57 to 11:01. 15 seconds remaining. 2 nail-biters back-to-back. 10 seconds remain. Ruben down, goes in with the Royal Hogs on the left-hand side as a drill comes down on the right.
Roll Hogs they do get to the tower. Barbarian Bro coming through. Wait, the Goblin locks on. Oh! And Ruben wins by just 12 HP. Are you kidding me?
My goodness, the Fire Spirit does just enough. 12 HP for our former world champion. And this wonderful back and forth between Adriel and Ruben continues on.